What was the first sign that your partner was cheating? These are Reddit's best answers to that question. Our shared doctor encouraged me to get STD testing because you never know people all the way. She stood there and said several times that she couldn't violate confidentiality, but she recommended the tests. And my dumb butt was mad at her for thinking he was that kind of person. It hit me a year later after I'd caught him with someone else while I was pregnant. It's been over a decade, and let me tell you, hurt fades, anger fades, but feeling dumb, that sticks. You know what? I respect your doctor for that. You never know people all the way is obviously code, and despite the fact that this was probably them breaking the confidentiality rules, I think they did the right thing. When he suddenly got too busy for everything, couldn't text, couldn't call, but somehow always had energy for everyone else. It's never about being busy, it's about priorities. Yeah, someone else replied, she wasn't cheating, but this was exactly the nail in the coffin for me. Time for me? Too busy. Time for others? Sure. He introduced me to his 6-month-old infant. Wow. Yeah, I was kind of thinking, how many real sensible answers are we going to get, and how many answers like this are we going to get? I also wonder if this is true or not. If it is, just wow. For me, it was seeing the guy screwing her. Yep, that's a pretty good clue. Let's not jump to conclusions. I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation. Hey, you never know. There could have been playing. God. just coughing on cringe. Texting at a weird angle. Body language. That's a good one. I put my phone on the table upside down once, and the reaction from my girlfriend was immediate. Interesting. I mean, I agree with this comment. I put my phone face down all the time, usually so I won't be distracted by notifications popping up while I'm spending my time with children or my husband. It's my way of making clear they have my full attention. I mean, I would do the same. I sometimes do flip my phone over, or obviously I just put it in my pocket. That's probably the best thing to do. But yeah, I agree. Like, texting at a weird angle, not wanting to show your partner even like a glance of your screen, is probably not a good sign. That man got mean as heck to me. Ugh, yeah, that's horrible. That's probably like when you're so ashamed of what you're doing and you feel so bad within yourself that you take it out on your partner. Maybe not, maybe just a mean person, you want them to break up with you or something like that, but yeah, not nice. My then boyfriend and I were watching a movie and laughing as he stood up to go to the bathroom. I held up his phone for the Face ID unlock and told him I was going to look up the cast because I thought I recognized one of the actors. Even though we'd been relaxed and goofing a split second prior, he immediately got incredibly antsy and was leering over my shoulder the whole time, reaching over and fidgeting like I was a loose cat walking on the nuclear launch keypad. I've never felt the urge or need to look through any of my partner's phones, even after this incident, and he'd never hesitated to do the hold up for Face ID thing to me before, so I found it extremely weird. Sure enough, I come to find out a few months later, he had accounts on multiple dating apps and had been cheating on me. She had joined a book club, but I'd never seen her read. I didn't notice it as a sign when it first happened. I only realized after the fact that there's no book club. Wow. And a book club is such an innocent thing as well. My granny is part of a book club. Does that mean that she's secretly doing unholy things? I hope not. On her phone 24/7. Can I just say, before we even continue on with this one, if your partner is on her phone 24/7, or they, him, they, whatever, are on their phone 24/7, that is just like, I would just instantly break up or like clock what is going on. Not because they're cheating, just because like, are they even with you? That's just terrible form. Nonetheless, on her phone 24/7, her face would light up with happiness every time her phone went off. After about 3 days of this, I asked if I could use her Facebook Marketplace to put an item up for sale. She refused, told me to email everything to her and that she would do it. We are standing here together and she is saying, no, I can't use her Facebook, and to email it to her. And that mixed with the several days prior of the weirdness on the phone, I just said it. Are you cheating on me? And she said yes. Now we are divorcing. Oh my goodness, you're married. That's horrible. She sucks. Hope it goes smoothly and you heal quickly. Yeah, I agree with that comment. She went from treating me like her obsession to obsessively talking about the other guy. And she would anxiously wait for texts from him and get upset when he didn't text back quickly, like you expect a significant other to do. She also started looking at me like a roommate and finding every chance to make business meetings to go and see him. They are now married. She even wore a nice dress to go and see him once and asked me if she looked pretty. What the heck? It was easy to see her eyes fully go off of me and onto him. What I don't understand here is that she's pretty much openly admitting to cheating on you. This is not like a sign that she's cheating. This is her saying she's cheating. Like, what? If she's getting upset when he didn't text back quickly, and you know this, then has she told you this? Unbelievable. When our healthy sex life stopped cold. If you ain't getting it, someone else is. Yep, this was my sign, says another comment. Literally stopped dead on a dime. Now that is interesting. That's the first sort of mention of sex that we've had, but I suppose that is a pretty obvious tell. If everything was all good before, and then all of a sudden it's not, and you haven't had a conversation as to why, then maybe something is up. Although, someone has said before, just note, folks changing meds, for example, starting a new anxiety or depression med, starting a new birth control, can have a dramatic shift in sex drive. I don't fully disagree with this comment, but feel it's worth mentioning that you should always consider your actual circumstances before consulting maxims. Sure, but again, that's why I say, like, you know, if there's no communication there, then that's the issue as well. Like, if you communicate and say, what's going on here? And they reply to you something about new medication or whatever, then that's cool. If there is a complete change and no communication, even when you ask, then obviously something is up. Oh, interesting one. They start accusing you of cheating. Similar perhaps to the one earlier where they start being mean to you, but this one is even more manipulative. Someone else replied to this saying, I look back at some of my relationships when I was younger and can't believe the red flags I overlooked. The guy I dated when I was 18 was the worst and was accusing me of cheating from the start. I didn't understand what projection was. One evening in the beginning, my dumb butt already had moved in. I had to run to the corner store for milk when he was making craft dinner. My friend was behind the counter, so we chatted for all of 2 minutes after I paid for my purchase. I got back home and the dude was angrily sulking. He immediately asks over his shoulder, "So, who'd you F?" I could not even in that moment, and I still simply cannot. When their patterns began to change, didn't like drinking, now going out to happy hours after work, suddenly very motivated to work out, putting extra effort into their looks, suddenly planning hangouts with new friends. And when you call them on it, well, not everything I do means something. Can't I just care about my appearance way more out of nowhere after 10 years of really not caring without it meaning something? Like, F off. Yeah, fair. And here we have the juxtaposition of the answers to this question in 2 examples. First, he became so mean to me for no reason, exactly like the previous one. Secondly, walked in on him with my cousin. Both beautiful answers, I must say. One slightly more beautiful than the other. I caught my ex-husband on Grindr looking for bro jobs. Again, I knew we'd have some funny answers here. Is that funny? I'm not sure. Is it just quite sad? I think it's quite funny. He got mad when he had plans to do things that didn't fit into his and his new lover's schedule. Oh god, i.e. we had a wedding that was RSVP'd 2 months in advance, and when I brought it up the week before, he got very upset. Yeah, that's not good at all. Here's an interesting one. Can someone please give me insight into this? I'm really struggling. I didn't know he cheated or left me for another girl. He just stopped talking to me. It was weird. We broke up without ever actually talking about it. It just ended. 2 months later, he reached out saying he couldn't stop thinking about me and that he loved me. We got back together, and 4 months later, I found when I went through his phone that he'd been with another girl during those 2 months, basically a full-blown relationship. I even saw their last messages. She wrote, "Ooh, how was your slimy sleepover?" when he was literally at my place, and he has an apology call ending it with her. After I found out, I told him he was disgusting and kicked him out. For months afterwards, he sent handwritten letters to my house, flowers, even got my name tattooed on his ribs. Wow. It just doesn't make sense. He became obsessive, saying he loved me, wanted to marry me, would wait forever. Then I kept finding out even more lies. Eventually, I blocked him on everything and told him to stop messaging me or sending letters. Yeah, I feel effed up. Let me tell you this, everything makes sense, because that is the sort of guy that he is. A genuine love bomber, a gaslighter, someone that cheated on you because they wanted to in the moment, then realized it was a mistake when it didn't work out. I mean, the tattoo on the rib says it all. That is just the sort of guy that he is. Yeah, as this comment says, definitely keep that guy in your rear view. He is not good for you. Gaslighting and holding on to grudges on things that didn't matter in the long run, while some other dude treats her 20 times worse, losing all her morals and character, preaching values she never adhered to herself, which were actually your own, which she then gaslights. But yeah, definitely gaslighting and making weird comments. I can imagine that, like when someone's character changes seemingly out of nowhere and for no reason. That may be a good insight. Getting overly irritated over the smallest things I did. Stirring my coffee too obnoxiously in the morning. Putting my shoes in the wrong place on the rack. I think she felt guilty internally and was coping/deflecting that into pointing out all my mistakes to make herself feel better. I think this is like the key point here. And I think that's summed up super well. When someone feels guilty internally, thinking, oh my goodness me, I've cheated, I've done something terrible, I think they try and make themselves, maybe even subconsciously, feel better about it by thinking, well, I don't really love this person, or I was never going to be with this person. Actually, a lot of the stuff that this person does, I find super annoying. So yeah, maybe I was in the right to cheat, or it wasn't that bad. But again, like this comment says, they are just coping and deflecting. And realistically, they're just trying to make themselves feel better about the horrible thing that they've done, whereas you've done nothing wrong. And also, what's wrong with stirring your coffee? I mean, I don't do it, but you're allowed to. He started being very vague about people's gender when talking about who he was spending time with. Quotes, my friend and I went, they did this, we went here, they bought that. And when I pointed it out, he would gaslight me and try to tell me he wasn't being vague, that I was making a big deal and being controlling. It was because he was hanging out with women and being very careful not to say that. This, and retroactively another sign that should have been obvious, was that he would get upset with me and stop talking to me for days at a time. Found out later he was using this time to cheat. He would arrange a fight so he'd have an excuse to not talk to me for a while so he could talk to her. And he did the same to her so he could talk to me. This guy's running a full-on like arguments business. How do people do this? How do you have the time to do this? Imagine like actually forecasting and putting into place a plan to have an argument so that you'd have to talk to somebody for a while. And then you can talk to someone else and then play them off against each other. I mean, arguably I have to applaud the planning there. How do you have time for that? We were going back to college, but he had a new gal pal from the dorm that he was hanging around. She was in my circle, but we weren't best buddies. He was talking about how good of friends they'd become over the winter season. I found red hairs on his pillow, and that was it. To get him to admit it, I pretended I was psychic and had a dream that he cheated on me with her, and I told him that. What? He bugged out over my supposed psychic powers and confessed the whole thing. What? I mean, that is ridiculous in and of itself. Then he went out with her for a good long while, and I think she punched him out in a bar one time because he cheated on her too. But we're going back to 1994 style college dorm drama, so it may or may not be accurate. What is going on in this reply? I do know that on a drunken evening years later, she approached me to tell me that I handled the news of their cheating really well, and she had a lot of respect for me because of that. So that was kind of a clue. Gotta love those old cheating stories. Hey, I want more content from like the 80s and the 90s. That sounds ridiculous. I didn't know at the time. It wasn't until I found her Google search history. It turns out she shared a Google account with my 11-year-old daughter. So everything she searched would be on my daughter's phone, including Google Maps timeline and even photos that were syncing. Oh God. Driving to a state park with my daughter, I asked her to look up lyrics to a song we were listening to. She got out her phone and I looked over to see Mormon soaking in past searches under the search bar. I took note of that, and after my daughter went to sleep that night, I got on her phone and I found a whole plethora of what the actual flip. But looking back on it, my dumb jokes didn't land the same anymore. She was looking for ways to villainize me. Loaded questions. What does this mean? Whose handwriting is this? Subtle ways she changed her makeup. The way she did her hair. She started listening to different music, was guarded about her phone, and even yelled at me for trying to be silly and ask her who she was texting while we were watching a movie together as a family. She started talking about a co-worker of hers a lot, then stopped all of a sudden. She even went on a road trip with that co-worker to visit an old friend of theirs. I trusted her unquestionably. Walmart plus receipts showed that she bought lube before going on that trip. Also, the van broke down on the way back from the road trip and she had it towed to the town she worked in. She stayed there for 6 days until it was fixed. I'd make chicken noodle soup from scratch and take pictures of it, proud as F with myself. She was working late. Her only reply was, "Is the kitchen a mess?" Google Maps shows that she'd get off work at 8 p.m, go to a hotel with a jacuzzi suite, restaurant, movie theatre, some residential house, fast food, then get home at 3 a.m, all while texting me that she missed our daughter and me and how much she wanted to be home. And when she did get home, she'd sit on the porch smoking weed while on her phone. My daughter and I wouldn't know she was home for a while. She was living a second life. Boyfriend and his kids, which she was buying things for. Walmart plus receipts showed snow gear, sleds, toys for a toddler, men's belts, pants, alcohol, take action pill. I had a vasectomy in 2016. While it did leave me in chronic pain, it did work. I got it because of how severe the complications were with the birth of our daughter. The midwife and doctor taking me to the side and telling me that we might want to start thinking about which one to save. We moved halfway across the country. I made some friends here, not many. I'm socially inept with severe anxiety. After the separation, she told everyone that I got the vasectomy to spite her, knowing full well she wanted 2 more kids. She had a kid with her now husband last January. She had the same complications that she did with our daughter. Anyway, not only did she spread that around, but turns out she was running a very effective smear campaign against me 2 years before the separation. Everyone turned against me. Wow. This turned into a rant, my bad, but felt kinda good to get it out though. My word. What a post. You know what guys, I think we'll end it on that. Some funny ones in there, but I think it's good to end on a more serious one. Wow, I just feel bad for a lot of these people. And again, like, it's crazy that there are so many people out there, cheaters, that have done or will go on to do stuff like this. I mean, there are literally, like, how many comments are on this? Thousands. I mean, there are 3,000 comments on this post, and it was posted 27 days ago. It just baffles me how many people are out there that have done, quite frankly, disgusting things like this. I mean, there'll be people watching and listening to this that have done stuff like this, and you know who you are. And my question is, if you do stuff like this, does that make you a terrible person? Or can nice, good people sometimes do terrible things? I mean, look, I've never cheated. And I don't think I ever will. But it just baffles me that there are that many people like this in the world that can do stuff like this. And it makes me question, am I missing out on something here? Are there people like me that can cheat? Maybe there are. Let me know in the comments down below. I'll leave that one up to you, but that is going to do it for this one. If you want more Ask Reddit content right away, just search Redditor Ask Reddit and it will come up for you. If not, try out this episode on screen right here. I'll catch you very soon, but I will see you first in the comments of this one.